Welcome to Inside the Castle, the podcast that goes behind castle doors to have real conversations with real people about solving the nation's toughest challenges.
I want to be your host today, Aaron Snyder.
And I'm Angie Fryermuth.
In this episode, we are discussing the Puerto Rico Flood Risk Management Mission. With us today are Brenda Calvente, Elmer Whiting, and Wilmer Varela Ortiz. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks so much for the opportunity. My name is Brenda Calvente, and I'm a professional civil engineer with 18 years of experience supporting the Army Corps of Engineers mission, implementing projects under many different programs and sub-programs, especially civil works and military construction. Currently, I'm serving as the Chief of Puerto Rico Integrated Program Office under the Programs and Project Management Division in Jacksonville District. And as the Puerto Rico IPO Chief, I'm responsible for the implementation of all flood risk management and ecosystem restoration projects in Puerto Rico under the Civil Works program.
Hello, my name is Elmer Whiting. I am a professional engineer registered in the state of Florida. I am a geotechnical engineer, meaning soils interactions. I've worked in the dam and levee safety community for the better part of 10 years, working on USACE projects for the better part of 15 years. My current role is the supplemental program engineering lead, and I am the main liaison currently between project management, construction, and engineering for the rehabilitation projects that are in Puerto Rico for flood risk management.
My name is Wilmer Varela. I started in 2005 at the USACE Research Engineering Center at Erdigan, Mississippi. Then I moved back to Puerto Rico, which is my hometown. So I serve with the Antilles office here for the Jacksonville District. I'm the resident engineer in charge of the construction projects for civil works in Puerto Rico.
Thank you all again for being with us today. We are excited to learn more about the Puerto Rico Flood Risk Management Mission. For our listeners, the Corps of Engineers has a worldwide presence, and today we're going to talk about one of our missions, and it happens to be in Puerto Rico. And so, Brenda, can you tell us a little more about our mission in Puerto Rico?
Yes, thank you. As you remember, Hurricane Maria devastated the entire island back in September 2017 and caused major humanitarian crisis. Hurricane Maria left over $90 billion in damages, and Congress allocated billions of dollars for disaster relief and recovery operations. We, the Army Corps of Engineers, received $2.4 billion under construction funds and $13.9 million under investigation funds. Through the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2018, is also known as the BB-18 program. The BB-18 program provides a unique opportunity to complete existing flood control projects in Puerto Rico and to create new projects as efforts were 100% federally funded. The main purpose is to reduce the risk of a catastrophic flooding, improving human health and safety through flood risk management and reduction in damages to structures and transportation infrastructure between the project areas. In general, we already completed 7 short-term projects and 4 studies. We are still working on 5 long-term projects which represent most of the efforts. These projects are Rio Puerto Nuevo, Rio de la Plata, Rio Grande de Arecibo, known as the Puerto Rico Big Three, and Rio Guanajibo and Rio Nigua. The goal is to complete these remaining projects under the BB-18 program by 2032. Recently, we received appropriation through 2 other programs, Disaster Recovery Supplemental Appropriations Act, also known as DARSA, and Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act 2022, also known as IIJA. These 2 programs provided funds to complete 3 additional projects to construction, Rio Grande de Manatí at Ciales and Rio Culebrinas under DARSA, and Caño Martín Peña project under the IIJA program. I would like to highlight that Caño Martín Peña is an ecosystem restoration project.
Thanks, Brenda. It sounds like there's a lot of work going on in Puerto Rico. And I just want to say, I love Puerto Rico. I went down there after, I think it was Hurricane Janine, and got to spend 4 months there on a debris mission. I worked in San Juan and Ponce, and it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had on the job was going to Puerto Rico, getting to just work in a different location, getting to know the culture a little bit, and seeing all the amazing places of Puerto Rico. So I always encourage folks that I know be like, go on vacation to Puerto Rico. It is a beautiful place and wonderful to visit. But it's also obviously really important that we're focused on delivering the infrastructure and, in particular flood risk, but ecosystem. And I'm sure there's some challenges that go along with delivering infrastructure in Puerto Rico compared to the U.S. mainland, obviously being on an island, and then some of the maybe difficulties of materials and sources and even getting labor forces. Could you guys comment, Elmer and Wilmel, about the challenges you face in delivering projects on the island?
Sure. I will highlight some things and from the engineering standpoint, and Wilmel will take over from the construction standpoint, and those do cross over, so we'll have different perspectives on similar things. One of the things that's very easy to highlight, since most of this came about in our current authorization, is from Hurricane Maria. So the island is hurricane prone, and they haven't had a devastating earthquake in many years. They've had many earthquakes, but nothing as devastating as the hurricanes. But the difficulty just there is designing for both hurricanes, which a lot of rain, flooding, wind conditions, but also earthquakes, which destabilize the foundations and cause different devastation. So that's a big thing for our area of responsibility for Jacksonville District. We cover Florida and the Caribbean, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, and so that's a big thing to highlight. Now, as we progress forward, right now we're in a lot of design phases, and we are going to get to construction phase, and Wamel and his team are going to have to take over, and engineer will support. But a lot of the new designs and techniques that we're planning on doing for the flood protection require specialized equipment and materials and labor, which could be limited on the island, and we're going to have to materials we already know we're going to have to import, and there's a certain amount of lag and logistics involved there. But just the labor, bringing contractors on the island to support the contractors that are on the island is a big challenge. Apart from most of the CONUS missions that we have in the U.S., Puerto Rico is a bilingual island. It's mostly Spanish staff around the island, but most speak English as well. So we do have in place in our field offices and our resident office bilingual staff that can speak Spanish and English for both political reasons, talking to politicians, and local reasons for talking to affected populations. One of the other things that I do want to highlight, even though it is difficult in these manners that I stated, USAID has a history of working in Puerto Rico, dozens of federal projects, including dams, levees, flood control, canals, harbor and shoreline improvements that can attest to our dedication to Puerto Rico and our ability to overcome those challenges. So we've been doing it for many years, and we'll continue doing it with the people of Puerto Rico. And that's from the engineering side, and I'll turn it over to Wamel to highlight his experience living on the island and working in the construction projects.
So basically, Armor covered most of the limitations that we have on the island. As it is not only a particular item for the island, but for everybody else, as we are doing with the pandemic. We have resource limitations, labor, materials, and equipment everywhere. And of course, we have it here on the island right now in Puerto Rico. But another things that we have is that the portions that we have constructed from the supplemental program, we have constructed most of the work on the open spaces. Now that we move from the rural areas to the urban areas, that is going to be a significant challenge for construction. We have, a lot of encroachment. We have to work with heavy equipment, doing diversion channels into the urban areas because we have to maintain the flood risk mitigation, while we are doing construction. So those are basically the major challenges that we have, along with the materials that we have to import from the United States, which basically will have a lot of long lead items. And we also try to incorporate as much as possible the materials that we have readily available in the island to use our resources that we have here in the island, combined with those that we can bring from the States to complete the project successfully.
There's definitely a lot of challenges and opportunities with this project. And I know Puerto Rico has undergone some tough financial times in the past few years. And one of the great things about the work the Corps of Engineers is doing in Puerto Rico is the opportunities and benefits that these projects are going to provide to the citizens of Puerto Rico. So can you talk about that a little bit?
So we can truly say that the benefits that we are providing to the island we saw them during the Hurricane Maria. During Hurricane Maria, we saw the difference between the projects completed with the people living downstream that didn't get affected by flood in comparison with the people living upstream where the projects were not completed, where they suffered significant damages. So looking at that, that's the main impact that Congress took look at it, when they were evaluating the funding to approve the funding for the island. We have shown that the Corps of Engineers do resilient work, and that what we design is stem up to the flood risk management, providing significant benefits to the citizens living in Puerto Rico. So in addition to the social benefits for the flood risk management, we have economic benefits based on the economic growth that is going to bring up to the island, not only to the contractors and agencies doing the work and the permits, but also to the intensive labor that we're going to need and the resources that are going to be incorporated for the island, where all parts of the economy will definitely benefit from the construction work that is going to be going on.
Looking at the mission, and it's really, I think important for all of our listeners and core staff to kind of understand that, when you think of an island, sometimes you don't think of like that big river flooding like we might see along the Mississippi or Ohio, but I understand you have some pretty flashy systems that, you get a hurricane storm and it dumps a whole bunch of water really fast, and that can cause a lot of devastation and damage. And the challenges that you face on an island are very similar to, what you would see elsewhere within the country. To man these missions and to actually accomplish this work, I've seen a lot of advertisements out there for, hey, needing help in Puerto Rico, you're trying to get people to come down through here. Brenda, could you talk a little bit about how you manage those resources when you have folks cycling through for like 120 days? How much permanent staff do you have that's overseeing the mission in Puerto Rico compared to some of these temporaries? And then really, how do you just deal with that to make sure we can accomplish the mission?
Okay. I would like to clarify that we do not have employees rotating to on details on regular basis for these missions. We have dedicated team members at both levels. We have here at the district level in Jacksonville, and we also have at the field level in Puerto Rico. So at the district level, the employees are focused on the design and management aspects, and at the field level, they're focused on the support for the design and also on the supervision and administration of the construction contracts. So employees, also we requested like support throughout the Army Corps Engineers, because we needed to implement these projects concurrently. So we're working all of them at the same time. So we also requested support to other districts and for the real estate acquisition and plans and specs development. So right now, for how many? Right now, Jacksonville District has about dedicated to this mission over 200 employees. But this is the initial stage. Maybe in 2-3 years, it will continue and it's going to be double, especially for the construction phase. That Wilmel can indicate how many people will be supporting the construction phase when all these projects are active in construction. And Almore may be able to tell you the support we are receiving from other districts.
Much like after Hurricane Katrina happened with New Orleans, multiple districts came and helped the New Orleans district, what we call brokering. They came down with their personnel and worked with the locals and integrated with the New Orleans district. We didn't base that model on New Orleans, but that is something that USACE has done time and time again. So we have done that again. And so we have engineering design and EDC support, engineering during construction support from multiple broker districts outside of our region. So for instance, Mississippi Valley Division has members from St. Louis, Vicksburg, St. Paul. Great Lakes and Rivers Division, we have, so Great Lakes and Ohio River Division, we have districts such as Huntington and Chicago supporting us. For demolition work, specialty work like that, we have Huntsville district that's also aiding. So we have a number of districts that are coming down to support. In addition to our sister districts here in the South Atlantic Division with Savannah and Mobile. So they're not, like Brenda has said, they're not rotating staff. They are assigned broker districts that are mission supported. So they started, they signed on, and when the mission's done, they're done. And then Jacksonville District is still, quote unquote, the home base for those projects. So through inspection of completed works and dealing with the sponsor in out years, we will do that, not the broker district. And so we've pulled resources from a large swath of availability because we have so much work to do.
Thanks, Brenda. It's important to recognize the importance of all of these projects and the effect they have on real people. So it's good to hear that the Corps is proactively out there trying to provide additional benefits and prevent some of these natural disasters from happening again. And with that, I've heard you guys talk a lot about, the staffing and just the different divisions and districts helping you out and trying to get this. It must be a really difficult job to manage, but I also feel like there must be some lessons learned there in trying to, direct us a lot from Jacksonville with field staff in Puerto Rico using multiple districts. Elmer, can you tell us a little bit about some of the lessons learned that you want to share with our listeners?
Yes. First and foremost, we've been working down in Puerto Rico for many decades, 5, 6 decades, on these type of projects and designing for both hurricane, flood protection, and seismic. So we have a lot of experience on the island. And so when we do broker out the work, some of those districts may have similar experience elsewhere, but we coordinate with them and work with them through the process. They carry the heavy load, but we share lessons learned and experiences, more or less oversight for a little bit, just so that they understand what they're doing. And right now, we're 4 years into the program, and so most of those broker districts understand what we've been doing and how we've been doing it, and we've integrated them into the program, so to say. But beyond that, the Jacksonville district is well equipped to continue our success. A couple of those other lessons learned that are very important in Puerto Rico that have been less glaring, at least from our standpoint with working with the different states and territories, is that the Puerto Rican government is very dynamic. And so understanding their processes and the different members and who's important there are sponsors. We've had one main sponsor for a number of years. Before that, we had a different sponsor on the island, and now moving forward, we're getting a different sponsor. They're all part of the Puerto Rican government establishment, but it's dependent on them who they want to be the sponsor and control the projects after we're done. So our coordination with them has been paramount to the success of the projects that we've built in the past, the projects that we're working on, and the projects we'll do in the future. And the bottom line on our lessons learned is working with the people of Puerto Rico. That there's a lot of environmental concerns, as you have stated before, and we understand, and we do have a lot of our environmental engineers and planning people on the projects to make sure that we attempt to maintain integrity, working with the environment, and still building flood damage reduction systems that are going to withstand not only hurricanes, heavy rains, seismic conditions, but the test of time, just them being there, weathering over time. So we've been working there a while. We've built projects that have weathered well, and we're utilizing those lessons learned and our current climate in terms of different environmental needs and government requests from the government of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, so basically on the construction part, we have many lessons learned that we have learned throughout the years, working on the projects prior to implementing the supplemental program. So most of the lessons learned go with water diversion and flood risk mitigation, not for the whole program, but during construction. We have implemented several contract requirements, to be able to minimize those risks because of the flash flooding that we have on the island, to make sure contractors are not impacted and the projects are not delayed, and we can continue towards performing construction right away to reach those benefits right away. Not only, we always focus on looking into not flooding adjacent areas, but we are also taking all the appropriate requirements to not flood the construction zone at the same time. It has cost a significant dollar amount for the government previously, so we are implementing the lessons learned from those to be more effective and continue with the construction and finish the project as soon as we can.
All right. Well, thank you, Brenda, Elmer, and Wilmo, for joining us today for this edition of Inside the Castle. We appreciate you and your insights. To our listeners, we want to hear from you, what topics are important to you, and people you're interested in hearing from. Until next time, be safe, be innovative, and be revolutionary.
Thanks for joining us for this Inside the Castle podcast. To provide your feedback, email us at cw.infrastructure.team@usace.army.mil. Stay tuned for additional Inside the Castle podcasts as we explore life inside the Corps and revolutionize civil works together.